you everyone to the Nut Up Show. I'm really excited today because we have our first ever guest to our episode, which is really great. And this person is amazingly talented and amazingly funny, and very happy to have her on board. Her name is Alexa Reedman. And Alexa, thank you and welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
No problem at all. And one thing that I want to mention here right off the start is that I recently stumbled upon your Instagram, and you have like some really amazing shots of this amazing food that you cook. First of all, what's your Instagram handle?
It's my name, so it's at Alexa Reedman. No dots or anything.
Dots or anything. Yeah. So do check that out. But can you just give a little bit of a backstory as to when you started taking these food pictures, and maybe a little bit about like the cooking you do, because obviously it seems like you're a really, really great cook.
Yeah, for sure. So cooking has always been a really big part of my family. And so, and food has been as well. I don't remember when I started, like what specifically started the plating, but I think I was in my last year of undergrad, and there was just a couple of really nice dishes that I made. And so I took a couple of pictures of them and put them on Instagram. And then over time, as I started watching MasterChef Canada, all of those, I really liked the idea of plating. So I got into that a little bit more. And then once Instagram started to become a bit bigger, I had a friend of mine. She's much cooler than me, but she's got a really nice style. And she started taking really artistic shots of different parts of her life, and she was gaining this massive following. Like right now she still has 250,000 followers or something. And
that's
so
amazing.
It was nuts, and she makes a lot of money off of it. It was quite impressive. But she took one picture of a dish that I made, and I remember after I saw that, I said, "Oh, I can do that. That wasn't even that difficult to take that photo."
Was it just like a special camera, or just even her cell phone?
No, it was her cell phone. But the trick she showed me was you don't need a lot of expensive lighting equipment or anything else. You just need to get the right shot and natural light.
Yep.
And so once I got into that a bit, I started to take more pictures and figure out what looked nice and what didn't.
Yep.
And that's how I kind of got into it. And then the more I watched MasterChef Canada, I really wanted to try to compete sometime. And so I noticed that, everyone's a good cook, but what really would set the winners apart would be how well they could plate.
Like the presentation.
Exactly. So I started messing around with that a bit. And then, so then I started doing that for Instagram, and I started to get more of a following and interacting with other people in the food world on there. Yeah, it's really cool. Like I don't think I've actually ever had a negative experience on Instagram, which is what I find.
Just wait.
Oh, sorry.
The trolls will come at some point.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's always really nice because of some people that I've connected with on there, we just share recipes and talk back and forth, in messages as well as in comments. And it was just a really nice supportive community. But
yeah, that's awesome. No, that's really cool. I saw that and I was like, wow, because you have like, I don't know. You're over 1,000 followers on Instagram, which is pretty cool. I mean, even getting to that level is you're on the top percentile of people. I mean, for me, like, I haven't even posted a single image yet, but I know for me, just to get there, I'd be like, wow, if I can have that many followers, it'd be amazing. That's awesome. Yeah. So it's really cool. But at some point, we're talking offline that you have to cook me something because your food just looks delicious.
Fair enough.
And looks really good. So I guess we get to kind of the meat and potatoes of the topic of the day. Actually, I think we're going to talk about a whole bunch of different stuff today. But it's, of course, Nut Up. And what we're doing, Andrew and I are doing, is we're trying to take control of our health and our fitness and lose weight and do all those good things. And I know you yourself have just started the process of going on a weight loss journey or fitness journey, or would you even call it? What would you call it?
Probably a combination, but there's a greater focus on weight loss at this time.
Weight loss.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you want to start by maybe giving a little bit of a history of yourself, I guess, in terms of what you used to do? Because I know you were a competitive athlete. So talk a little bit about that, and then talk about maybe how throughout the course of the past few years or whatever, you've gone to this point now where you realize that, I want to make a change and I want to lose some weight.
Yeah, for sure. So when I was child, I think I started competitive swimming. I was either 10 or 11. And I did that for, actually it might have even been 8. It was a decent portion of my life. It was about a decade. And I was good, but I was never going to be the best.
Mm-hmm.
But I really enjoyed it, and it was a great community to be a part of. And obviously I was growing up and working out a lot. So
Because even to be
yeah.
good at that level, you're still putting in
Oh,
5-6 hours a day,
yeah.
like exercising and just practicing and competing.
Like a typical Monday for me would have been you had to be in the pool, so physically in the water at 5:30 in the morning, and we would be getting out
That's
at
early.
7. Oh yeah, and then we'd go upstairs and do weights for a bit, then school, work, what have you. Back in the pool at 4 p.m. until 5:30, and then after that we would do some type of like yoga, just stretching, gymnastics for about an hour.
And that's at what age you were starting at that strict of a
14.
schedule? At 14.
14.
That's early.
So I was doing a lot of that, and then I started to get really interested in rugby. Well, I got interested in rugby because someone told me I was too much of a princess, and I decided to prove them wrong.
Oh, so you go for like the most like anti-princessy thing you could find?
Exactly.
Princess, I'll show you. I'm gonna start tackling people.
Exactly. So then whenever I had breaks in my swimming training schedule, I'd be playing rugby. And then I also worked at my uncle's restaurant, and so I was on my feet all the time for that. So I didn't realize how active my lifestyle was as a teenager and, as a kid, obviously. And when I looked up how many calories you burn from swimming now, I was astonished. And I also understood why I could not stop eating at that time.
At that age, yeah.
Because I burned so many all the time.
And you're also young as well, too. Young people just...
Faster metabolism,
Yeah,
all
exactly.
that stuff. Yeah, so that was me at my fittest. And then when I went to university, I stopped working out at all. My first year of university, I was one of those super lazy undergrads. I barely went to class.
That sounds familiar. I think I could relate to that.
And then I had my first serious boyfriend, so I just wanted to spend time with him all of the time. And he and I both liked to sit around and watch TV and eat, right? And for Valentine's Day, like he got me our like massive favorite poutine. Like it was not a healthy situation at all. And then I hated dorm food. I couldn't stand any of it.
Were you on like a plan or whatever it was?
Yeah,
Like a residence plan or something like that?
The food was not good. I remember one week I only ate mashed potatoes the whole week because I hated everything they were making, which sounds so ridiculous now, but at the time, right? That's what I wanted to eat.
Yeah.
So that's what I ate.
I'm gonna eat it, exactly.
Yeah. And then I would buy a bunch of potato chips and anyways, I gained a lot of weight that year, unsurprisingly. I got a lot of stretch marks for the first time. And I remember being upset back then because I thought you could only get them when you were pregnant.
Turns out that's not true.
No, not at all. And so I was pretty upset about that. But then when I went home for the summer, I worked 3 jobs. So I worked at the outdoor pool, so lifeguarding, teaching swimming lessons. I worked at the restaurant again, and then I cleaned cottages on Saturdays. And like, you have to be super active to be a lifeguard. It's a requirement that you have a certain activity level. And
do you have to do any kind of tests for that? Like, do you have to show them how you can swim, I don't know, a certain distance, or I have no idea what's involved.
No, it is a requirement. So your employer requires that you're able to swim a certain distance at a certain speed, which because I was a competitive swimmer, that was never an issue for me. I could literally be out of the water for a year and I could still do it as soon as I got back, right? But what was really cool was the first month setting up, coming back, because we were working at the outdoor pool, it was still May, so it wasn't warm. So we had to do all of the prep to open the pool. And I lost a lot of weight from doing that because you're just outside doing stuff
Just
all
like
day.
physical labor almost.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then I would go and work at the restaurant and be on my feet the whole time. So I started to notice some of the weight starting to come off. And then
like at this point, were you really conscious about it? Were you like, did you have that mentality of like, oh, you know what? My health is not there, or my weight's not there. And like, I can't just, maybe when you're a kid, you didn't even think about it. Like nutrition never even came into your mind, but now it's starting to like, oh wait, something's not right.
That was definitely the first time. It was the first time where I didn't want to be photographed because I didn't like how I looked and I didn't want to be reminded of what I looked like. But then later that summer, the week before my birthday, between my lunch and dinner shift at the restaurant, the same boyfriend that I ate poutine with broke up with me. And I had been in love with him at the time, so I was devastated. And I actually,
First breakup is always the hardest one.
like, I had broken up with guys before, but they had been like shorter high school relationships where
Okay.
I was really in love with him. And I was really devastated, and I didn't eat for an entire week, which I'm not recommending to anybody at any time ever. I was so upset.
Unless it's like a scheduled fast or something like that.
Yes, but not for a week. And so I just couldn't eat, and I was still really active though. And so after that, weight started flying off of me because I didn't really regain my appetite. I wouldn't eat breakfast, and then I would have maybe like cucumber for lunch. And then I would go work at the restaurant. I would have a half-size salad and like a tiny piece of garlic bread, and that's all I would eat in a day.
For the whole day.
The whole day.
So it's almost like you were just strictly cutting your calories.
I was cutting everything. And I think too much so, because I think at that point I was eating under 1,000 a day, every day.
Yeah, if you're just having some salad and a cucumber, yeah.
Yeah. And I dropped a ton of weight. By the end of the summer, I was too skinny for my frame. But then I came back to university, and that problem was handled pretty quickly.
And so this is all in the span of first year and then first summer.
First year, first summer, yeah.
Yeah.
And then it was so second year, I definitely felt the weight coming back on, but I wasn't eating like crazy. So it wasn't flying back on my body. It was just slowly starting to come back on. And I was starting to notice it around January or so. And that's actually around the time that it's a really bad way to say it, but I experimented with bulimia because I still wanted to eat. And I didn't really want to work out.
Yep.
So I make myself get rid of it.
Yep.
And I really hated myself during that period of time. And
How long did that go for?
a couple months.
A couple months.
And then I don't know why I stopped, actually. I'm very thankful that I did, but it's not pleasant.
I can't imagine.
No, not at all. But I actually think it probably stopped around the time I made friends with one of the guys from the fraternities on campus, and he recruited me onto their co-ed intramural teams. So I started playing sports again with a team.
Yep.
And so I started to be active again, and it kind of faded from my memory. I still wasn't the size that I wanted to be, but I wasn't hyper cognizant of it all the time.
It's almost amazing how like being active and being in that mindset of just moving your body, how it can have an effect on your mental state in a positive way.
It really does. And so I was pretty good for a bit of time because I was playing intramurals, and I wasn't eating like crazy, but I also remember I was wearing yoga pants all the time, right? I gave up on jeans. That's around the time I actually don't think I've worn jeans since then. I did recently try to buy a pair, which is the first time I've tried to do that in like 8 or 7 years, something like that.
Did you end up getting one?
No, I didn't like them. But I tried them on, which I haven't done in forever. So I was happy about that step.
Well, you'll get there then.
Yeah, I will. I'm not worried about it anymore. But yeah, so in undergrad again, I wasn't thin, but I wasn't fat. I was overweight, but not dangerously so, not in a way that I was worried about. Like I had a bit of a stomach, but it's a role that like most people have, right?
Yep.
So it wasn't until towards the end of university that I thought about weight a lot. Like most of my friends were slimmer than me, but also because I was so into food and cooking, I cooked all of the time and I really enjoyed it, that I did definitely eat more than most people. Yeah, I don't really think the problems resurfaced until the end of university. So I did have what I'll call a very negative sexual episode, and that had a pretty profound impact on me, where I didn't want anyone to see me in that way. And I don't believe that this was a conscious decision. And I have spoken with somebody about this and moved on from it. But since I didn't want anyone to see me in that way, putting on fat, it felt like almost a safety barrier.
Do you mean seeing you in the way of, in regards to that incident, and like just how you were feeling at that time, or?
No, I mean, like, I didn't want men to look at me and be attracted to me.
I see.
And so and again, at the time it wasn't conscious, but when I've spoken to someone in the recent past and worked through it, they said it's a very common
that's
response.
probably how you respond to the situation.
Exactly. Yeah. It's an unconscious thing, but you find comfort in food. And then as that happens more and more and you get less of those interactions, you feel safer.
Yeah. And then you associate safety with
food and comfort.
And comfort, exactly.
Yeah. And so that whenever an issue comes up, you want to turn to food because food is going to get you through and be fine. And so then over the past 5 years, I've been working full time, and I was looking at pictures of me from the beginning of that.
When you first started.
When I first started.
This is your current position that you're in now.
Mm-hmm. Well, same company, but different position.
Yeah. Of course, because you're constantly moving up.
Oh, thanks. But no, I was slimmer when I started, and I noticed the blazer I was wearing does not fit me right now. And I was looking at a recent photo of the team together, and I just kind of shuddered when I saw the picture of me because I still don't like what I look like right now.
Yeah.
And I realized just how much weight I had put on. And I very purposely did not have a scale in my house for the longest time, right? Because I didn't want to know what that number was.
Yeah.
I remember there was a Christmas where I don't know the year. I went on the scale at my aunt's house and I saw that I was over 200 pounds and I was really upset about it. But then I went and had another 2 glasses of wine and cheese and crackers and just tried not to think about it.
That's the way you handle.
Yeah.
If you're upset, just down it with alcohol and
cheese.
And food. Yep.
Exactly.
I think a lot of people can relate to that. And I know I certainly can.
Yeah. Well, it's because you do feel better afterwards, right? But for a very short window of time.
Very, very short window of time. Because then as soon as after a night of drinking or whatever, and then all that alcohol kind of fades away and then the food fades away and you feel like shit again. But then you want to get that next high and then it's just eat more food and try to feel better again. It's a vicious cycle, really.
Yeah. And so I found, one of my coworkers, a good friend of mine, she wasn't as big as me when she started at the company again, because she'd worked there before and left and came back. But she got into a really healthy schedule. She was going to the gym. She was eating a lot better. I remember being a bit jealous of her at the time, even though I very easily could have done exactly the same thing, right? But I didn't. And she lost quite a bit of weight, but she lost it very slowly and steadily. And she did a fantastic job. And I remembered looking at her and just noticing the difference in size was so much more drastic now. And I was pretty jealous of that, but that's when I started to become kind of, aware of what weight I actually was again. And I still refused to buy a scale because I didn't want to know. Yeah. But I started trying to eat a bit better. I started eating a lot more vegetables, but then I would have a week of eating salad. I'm well, I didn't drop 15 pounds. What's going on? This is bogus. Diets don't work.
Screw this. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And then give up.
Yeah. Might as well enjoy the food. If I'm eating salads, it's not helping, then
exactly.
Might as well have the pasta or whatever it is.
Yeah. And so
do you know, do you know how much you weigh now? And so can you say what's the difference between, I guess, do you know how much throughout your whole university, do you know how much you put on then? And then do you know, and you're also talking about the picture from when you first started your job to now, do you know approximately how much that was?
I think that I know. So I know exactly what weight I am right now. And I'm also 5'5" and a half, if this helps with picturing my proportions. So when I lost all that weight this summer after first year, I was down to around 100, 140, 45, 150 pounds around there. Yeah. I believe
that's sounds pretty healthy for 5'5".
Yeah, it is pretty healthy. And that's what it says on my BMI. But I also was really, really skinny. And so I don't know if I've got some dysmorphia where I think that's too slim, or I think it's just my proportions. I don't know, but
it's hard to tell. I'd have to see a picture. I have no idea, muscle or
I probably was a healthy weight, but I remember people around me saying oh my God, you're so skinny. But it's probably because of how different it was from a couple months ago.
Could be. Yeah.
Yeah. I bet you it's probably something more like that.
That's funny. Sorry.
Oh, totally no, go ahead.
Derailing that, but that's the same thing where for me, some people come up to me now and after losing a little over 40 pounds, they're like, you're so skinny, you're so, like, thank you. But I mean, still comparatively, I'm not, because I still have lots to go. But it's like, yeah, when I think people, when they see the difference from what you were to what you are now, it obviously, it looks a lot different, especially if you lose a lot of weight in a short amount of time.
Absolutely. Because I was really ill actually exactly a year ago from right now. I was bedridden. I had this parasite and I couldn't keep anything in my body. I lost 25 pounds in 2 weeks, which again is not healthy. And when I
don't know, that sounds like sound health advice. If you just want to lose weight, just get a parasite, and like literally you can't eat anything and away you go.
And you can't move for 2 weeks. It's great.
And can't go to work either.
Well, I remember when I went back to work and I'd lost 25 pounds, one of my coworkers was agape when she saw me and she just said, "Did you lose a whole person? What happened to you?" I was like, "Ruth, you know what happened to me." But even then it was only 25, right? Whereas I have quite a bit more than that I want to lose. And all of that came back since it was water weight and everything else. My actual weight. So right now I weigh 232 pounds. And when I started working at Meopar, I believe I was in the high 180s. So still not the size I wanted to be, but not anything I think that was too crazy. So from the time I started working, so my highest weight that I got to was just over 240, which was a couple months ago, and we're never going back to that ever again.
Yeah. But already you're starting to lose.
Yeah, I've lost 8 pounds already. So I'm quite happy about that.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So from the time I started till now, put on about 60 pounds. And I think over the course of my undergrad, it would make sense that I went from my slimmest post swimming, put on another 40. I think that sounds probably right.
Yeah. So, it's funny how just a little bit before you said you remember the first time you hit over 200 pounds on a scale. And I remember the same thing the first time I weighed over 200 pounds. And it almost got to the point when I saw it for the first time, I like immediately jumped off the scale, took the batteries out and put it away. And I said, like, I'm never going to have that happen again. But what I immediately did after that was I think I made myself some pizza or something like that, just to like make myself feel better, because for whatever reason I saw that number and I was like, I never want to get over 200. Right. And it's just that number. And then I got it and it's like, just felt so bad. And I guess, I don't know, you just have to be in this state to like want to do something about it. And it just wasn't prepared. And so like just sought comfort in food.
A lot of it is to do with your mental state, right? Because I have wanted to lose weight for a very long time. And I was not in the right mindset to do it. I think if you're in the mindset of crash dieting or you need to lose the weight super fast or anything like that, you're going to fail. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
And that's why when people say that diets don't work, fad diets don't work. Plans to have a diet in the short term and have that be the end all be all and that all your problems are solved, that doesn't work.
You can't just drink cabbage soup for 3 weeks.
And you're not going to do that for the rest of your life.
Yeah. So it's almost, I think too, do you think it's a product of people using the wrong terminology? Like they'll say diet and maybe nutrition interchangeably almost, like say, oh, I want to go on a new diet, but maybe what they're really talking about is they want to have a new lifestyle and a new way of thinking about nutrition and just eating healthy and making that sustainable. Because I agree 100%. Like if you're dieting, it just means you wanted to change your nutrition for a month or two to get a certain goal and then start eating whatever and just changing what you eat. Like you can't do that. Like you're saying, you have to do something that's sustainable. And maybe, do you think people use those words incorrectly or?
I think a lot of it is to do with the terminology, because when I hear the word diet, even though I know it's what you're actually eating, what you're putting in your body, I still, when I hear diet, I hear like seltzer water, cucumbers, don't eat.
Yeah.
How much celery can you eat and feel full from for how long? So I think, and I think that does have a lot to do with the whole diet industry, because it's marketed to us so much. I do believe that that's the association that most people have with the word diet, even though the proper terminology or the proper definition of it is what you're eating, what your nutrition is as a whole. And so I think the word diet's gotten such a bad rep. I think but I do think that there are people that use the word, they weaponize the word diet in certain circumstances.
And it's such a big industry. I mean, how many billions or trillions of dollars are being pumped into this industry to get people to buy the latest books and the latest, this is how you lose weight kind of, I don't want to say scheme, but it's almost kind of like that, because there's so many things just, they don't work, or they push it on you for they're very calorie restrictive and they'll only work for a certain amount of time until that person's metabolism goes down. And then no matter what they do, they keep gaining that weight back because their metabolism is shot so low that their body is literally burning nothing, and they eat a bagel and then they gain an extra pound or two just from that. It's crazy.
Well, the other thing that I think is interesting is I think, actually fad diets do work, but there's no guarantee that they're going to work in the long term, right? They do work in the short term. If you eat nothing or next to nothing for a week, you're going to lose weight. Yeah. But it isn't going to stay off.
Yeah. It's what you do afterwards that counts. I don't know, for me, I just give a little bit of context as to what I'm doing, and then we'll talk about kind of what your goals are and what your methods are going to be to achieve your goals. But so I've been experimenting a lot with intermittent fasting and doing different techniques for pretty much when you eat, not worrying about what you eat. And I found that without even changing your meal, how you eat, or without even changing the foods that you eat, I could just say, I'm only going to eat lunch and supper. And then I find that I lost weight, even though I kept what I was eating exactly the same. So I was still ingesting the same amount of calories, but just at different times, and it would actually make me lose weight. So it was really quite interesting to know that you can have success from just timing how you eat and how your body kind of responds to the, I don't even know how to say it, just kind of how your body responds to the timing of food. So I don't know, for me, I'm a big proponent of trying to work on intermittent fasting, but I'm the same camp as you. Is you can't just not eat for 3 weeks and expect to come back and then I could just have pizza or whatever. It's not going to work. But I mean, if you're smart about it and if you do your research and figure out what works for you, I think something can be said to not eating as many meals during the day as you might normally would do.
Yeah. For me, it's, restricting any kind of food from my diet automatically makes me want to eat it. Yeah. The second I go, oh, I'm not having chips anymore, I'm I need them.
It's just the thing of oh, I'm a princess. Well, I'm going to show you what I can do. I'm going to play some rugby.
Yeah, it's reverse psychology to some extent, right? But it's if I know that I can't have something, then I need it. Yeah. And
it's not fun that way. You still want to enjoy your life.
And so my three biggest issues when it comes to overeating are chips, pasta, and wine. Wine's not eating, but I love wine.
Yeah. But it still has...
when I found out how many calories there were in a glass of wine, I almost cried. So, again, this explains a lot. But so it's having everything in moderation, right? So for me, I love pasta. I have always loved pasta. I want to go to Italy on a cooking tour and do all these sorts of things with pasta. But the amount of pasta that I was eating, the amount of cheese and cream going into dishes was out of control, and I wasn't measuring any of it.
But the cheese tastes so good, though.
I know it does.
It's delicious.
But you don't need to put as much into it as I was, right?
Well,
no, you definitely don't. But,
of course, yeah.
Well, and that's something else I've had to reconcile with myself too, is I am a very good cook. I am very proud of how I can cook. But if all of my alleged good cooking comes from cheese and cream, then I'm not that good of a cook.
That's a good point.
It's true. I remember the first time I saw somebody advertising or one of those tasty videos, they were making the cauliflower sauce. Okay, that was supposed to be they're it's just as good as Alfredo sauce. I'm no, it's not. Alfredo sauce is butter and cheese, and some people put in cream. That's the trifecta of deliciousness.
Yeah, exactly.
Cauliflower does not taste better than that. It never will. Yeah. I don't care what you have to say.
I don't care what you do with that cauliflower. It is not going to taste like that.
It won't. That's a lie. But
It's like those bacon substitutes. I don't know if you ever tried any of those things. It just doesn't work. Even Andrea here, she tries. She's like, she's in the kitchen slaving away. She's like, oh, I got to make this bacon substitute. It's going to be great. You know, this is a time when we were trying to go vegan. And she whipped it up and everything. It's like, all right, here, taste it. It's just like bacon. And I put it in my mouth and chew. I'm like, this is nowhere near bacon because bacon is bacon. And that is that.
But it's, so I still want to have bacon. I still want to have pasta, but it all has to be in moderation, right? So if I'm going to have bacon, if I'm going to have this breakfast that has all of the, like a nice egg, bacon, like mushrooms, toast, like all the big whole, like farmer's breakfast.
Yep.
Then I'm going to make a point of adjusting for that. I track calories very intensely now.
Yeah.
So I can make space for it. But if I do that, I'm also going to go swim for an hour later that day, right? Because I'm going to make up for it with the exercise, or I'm going to balance it out. And if I'm having a large breakfast, I'm either not going to have lunch and maybe just have a salad for dinner, right? So if you balance the day out, it's fine. And I still have issues with binging. So actually last Saturday, which was only a couple days ago, I had been out with some family and friends. Yeah. And I had 3 glasses of wine, which now gets me drunk. And so the next morning I was hungover, which was astonishing.
Yeah, that's funny though. Now, so in context, before when you're drinking a lot, how many glasses of wine would you have to get drunk?
Like a bottle and a half. It was out of control.
How many glasses is that?
Well, allegedly there's like 6 glasses of wine in a bottle.
6, okay.
Yeah.
So then
but they're like 3 for me.
So 9 glasses then.
9 glasses, yeah.
Yeah, that's funny because for me, I think there's 2 glasses of wine in a bottle.
Okay,
because
I think there's 4.
Because I take it and I pour it for Andrea and it's like this. I like fill up this thing.
Right.
So it's like 500 mils.
Oh yeah.
So yeah. But anyways, so it's a big difference because if it used to take you 9 glasses and now it only takes you 3, that's huge.
Yeah, well, it's
in a good way.
Oh yeah, definitely. I've really cut back on it because I didn't realize for a long time. I didn't realize how much alcohol I was drinking, which I should have been able to. Like I take out my own recycling, but I wasn't. I was probably in denial.
How much were you drinking?
Well,
do you think?
The last time I was drinking where I think it was actually problematic was probably in the winter. It was worse before. A couple of years ago, it was really bad. I was drinking way too much. But yeah, it was probably in the winter. I was drinking quite a bit. And I did notice that it was a problem for my bank account, but also since everything costs more in Nova Scotia. But
we'll get into that later.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, it was pretty bad. And I didn't want to be an alcoholic. And I didn't want to rely on alcohol to feel good in addition to food.
Do you think you were headed in that direction?
I did think I was because I think I have an addictive personality because I do feel now that I'm like addicted to exercise, which I'm quite happy about. But I definitely believe I was addicted to food. And I think I was on the road to being addicted to alcohol. And I'm very glad that I just went, this is not safe. I don't want this life. If I'm already addicted to something that's causing me problems, I don't want to be addicted to something that can cause me even more problems. But I'd like to have it in social occasions and I didn't want to give that up. So I didn't completely restrict it. But now if I go out, even if people are having a bunch more, I'll just get soda water with lime and then it looks like I'm having a gin and tonic. So the drunk people leave me alone.
Yeah. And that's interesting. That's a good point too, because I know so many people that just buckle under pressure because friends are like, "Oh, just have a drink, have one more," and it's hard to say no when you're having people kind of always pressure you.
But the thing I find now, if I have more than 2 drinks, it drastically affects my sleep. And I love sleep, like we were talking about earlier. I like sleeping for 8 hours. I feel fantastic after I sleep for 8 hours. And that's a good 8 hours of sleep, like reading a book to fall asleep, nice, relaxing.
Not in your phone, on your screens, getting that blue light or whatever the hell it is.
Get that away from my bedroom. But no, so if I drink more than 2 drinks in an evening, I will wake up around 1:30 or 2 in the morning and I'll be awake for 2 hours because I get really paranoid and anxious and then I can't fall back asleep. And it's completely, I know it's induced by the alcohol.
Yeah.
And
Because you're not like that normally. So obviously the only thing that's changed is you've been drinking.
Exactly. And so even when I do manage to fall back asleep, I don't have a restful sleep. I don't sleep as many hours as I would like to sleep. It's just not a good situation. And so that's what I think about when I'm out with people and they're trying to pressure me into another drink. I'm just like, yeah, sure. Is it going to be enough more fun right now that I'm okay with not having a good sleep and the day after is going to be wasted? Like, or I wind up binging, which is what I did on Saturday.
Because there's that tipping point when you get
Yeah.
drunk enough to like lower all your inhibitions or your thought process or your, what is it? Like your cognitive abilities or something. I don't know. You're just
Something
like,
like
you're
that.
like, screw this. I'm just going to have this because
Yeah.
I want to or whatever.
But I forced myself this time, since I have an app that I track everything in, I forced myself to record how many calories I ate on Saturday, and it was out of control. I had no idea there was that many calories. It was so bad.
Yeah.
And
Okay. So
sorry.
no.
I'm like, it's not going to happen again. I was astonished.
So you're starting to, so one of your primary methods of keeping yourself accountable is tracking calories. So how many calories are you trying to go for in a day, and how many was it on Saturday there?
So if I do not exercise, 1,500 is the maximum. And then if I exercise, it's 1,500 plus however many I burned.
Okay.
That I'm allowed to have, but I want to keep it under because I do want the total to go down faster, which contributes to losing pounds and all that good stuff. I ate 5,000 calories on Saturday.
That's not that bad.
Oh, I know, but it's still like, okay. I think it's bad.
It's a lot, but I mean, you have to think too. I mean, the whole thing about calories, it's not like it's this perfect equation that means, oh, if you have extra amount, like 2,000, that means it's going to equal 1 pound. Like it doesn't work that way.
I know it's not that specific.
A lot of stuff can just get in the wash or whatever, just goes in, it just comes out, and it's like one day, it's not that big of a thing.
Yeah.
And there's even been some studies that are out there that show that when you do have a huge increase in the amount of food that you have, like literally the next day, your metabolism ramps right up and burns for the next day or so. It burns even that much more calories during the next, or that much more energy, I guess, during the next day. So it's not like you have one day and then, oh shit, I just put on 5 pounds. It's like, it's impossible.
Yeah. Well, for me, it's, in all the other times that I've tried losing weight, on all the other diets that I've been on, the binge always happens. I always wind up binging as much as I know that I shouldn't. As much as I am focused, dedicated, it happens. And I'm the one who does it, right? It's not like someone is forcing me to binge. Like I have done it to myself. But in the past, when I've done it, my response has been, oh, like I ruined the diet. It's all over. Might as well give up now. We're done.
Yeah.
But I didn't do it this time because when I saw how many calories I ingested, I'm like, okay, well, we're going to handle this now. So I went for a very long walk and then I went for a swim. And I'm like, you know what? That's all you can do for today.
And then you felt better.
Yeah, I did.
You felt like you're taking a proactive approach to
I felt like I had control over it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's not just give up. It's all over. It's, you're not going to hit your goal for today of what you wanted, but it's not going to be so as far away from that goal as it could have been if you didn't exercise.
Yeah. So that's, I think that's fantastic. And one of the things that Andrea and I have been a big proponent of is making sure that people just stay accountable to what it is that they're doing and be accountable to themselves in order to, be honest with yourselves. And if there's something that you do that is not right, don't be so hard and so down on yourself to spiral out of control and then go back to your bad habits, but to say like, you know what? Yeah, I did have a bad day, but I'm going to fix this and I'm going to go in the direction that I know I need to go. Because if you string together a lot of good days and you have a couple bad days in between those, it's still in the grand total of things, because your goal, it's going to take you a while to get there, right? So you add it all up and it's going to add up to overall decline, or, decline in weight, or whatever it is your goal, you're going to get there. Sometimes you take 5 steps forward and 1 step back, 4 forward, 1. It happens, right? Like there's life in everyone. They have their ups and downs, but it's just to try to have as many ups as you can, and as few downs as you possibly can.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where mindset is so important, right? And I think that is the most important part because I have, over this past year, I've been trying to get onto the right track with losing weight and switching my lifestyle in such a way that I'm happy with how things are going. And I've had a lot of false starts. I've had a lot of false starts in the past, but I was going to say maybe this time is, but I don't think so because this time feels very different. But
It does. I think you get that feeling where you just know that, this time I'm feeling completely different from the other times. And you just kind of know.
I do. And I think it's because there's a lot of stuff that happened in my life with my family and friends and a lot of really horrible things that have happened the past few years. And I really held on to a lot of those things. But now I feel that I've worked through a lot of them and I've let a lot of them go. And I just feel like I am a happier person. And when I exercise, I feel even better.
Yeah.
So I ran a 5K on Friday, which I was really stoked
awesome.
about.
Congrats.
Thank you. And I started swimming butterfly again, which kills your core.
And is that the one where I think you're doing like,
yeah, so your arms come all the way out.
That's my technical term here for swimming. It's the one where your arms do circles.
Yeah. So your arms come all the way out. Your whole body is moving. So it's a core workout when you're doing
Is that so your legs are doing like a mermaid kind of thing?
Yeah, you're kind of... We're doing a podcast and I'm like trying to demonstrate with my arms.
You're doing that, the wave for the
wave,
like the
exactly.
swim. I don't know what it is.
Yeah,
that's like a dancing term. But yeah, so just picture Alexa just swimming here in the studio. No, so your legs are going in and then you're in and up and down. I don't know. And then your arms are going up and like your body is going in like up and down.
So for butterfly, when your arms come out, so both your arms come out of the water at the same time and you're essentially almost lifting your chest out of the water.
That's it.
So
yeah.
That's what you do when you breathe, but you don't have to breathe on each stroke. You can keep your head down, but you come up and you're essentially almost throwing your body forward so that you're almost diving back in. And then your body follows in a wave to kick to push it forward. So
yeah, that looks really cool when I see like Michael Phelps or whatever.
He's fantastic.
Yeah. I heard that guy eats something like 20,000 calories a day or something like that when he's training.
Well, he has to.
That's what I mean. He has to. Yeah.
And that's what I mean when I looked up how many calories you burn from swimming. It is way more than I thought you did, and like way more than almost any other kind of exercise. Really.
Yeah. What do you know how much it is?
For me, well, it depends on your body weight and everything else. Also,
well, I guess like if you were to type into like MyFitnessPal, they say like I do this exercise.
I use LifeSum and it says for medium impact. So basically if you're doing laps, but not really racing, it's around 1,000 calories an hour. Yeah.
And then for somebody like you, who's like technically sound, knows what they're doing it for a while, it's probably...
It might be a bit higher.
More than that.
Yeah, I've purposely, whenever I'm recording my exercise, I try to undervalue my exercise and overvalue my food. But for butterfly is high impact swimming, right? So it's like if you were to do only butterfly for an hour, which you can't, you will die. But it's like 1,500 or something.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's not, those types of exercises are so intense. I love that. I used to do like martial arts. Well, I've just been injured now, but like martial arts training and like, it's like try going into the ring for an hour, right? Like you're doing these things that you're just exhausting yourself and it's like, it's impossible, but you're burning so many calories, which is great. You feel so good after.
It does. And I'm really glad. So my apartment building has a pool. And what I've started doing now is at the end of the day, especially if I'm stressed or anxious or anything, I just go down to the pool and I swim for a while and I'll do some sets of butterfly or something like that and get really tired. And then I go upstairs, have a shower, and then I just go to bed and then out. That's
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then that's a good way too, to not wallow in anything that bad happened during the day and be like, you know what? It'd be good if I just ordered some Domino's pizza right now or something like that. So that eliminates that. So that's really cool. Okay. So your goal is to track calories. Mm-hmm. And I'd imagine for that, it's not something you're going to want to do forever, right? Is it just one thing that you want to get a baseline for how you're doing and what you're eating? And then I guess you get to a point where you just kind of know.
Yeah. Because I really had no idea how many I was eating. I really didn't know how many calories were in a lot of foods. And even just, when you're making food, the real difference between 1 tablespoon of olive oil versus 2, like it's a significant difference.
I think one tablespoon is like 60 calories or something like that.
Yeah. And then when you get into like tablespoons of butter, it's 100 something, right? And you just, because when I'm cooking, it's just like, oh, we'll add this for flavor. This will make this and this happen. But I want to be a lot more conscientious when I'm doing it. I want to be aware. And so I don't want to count calories forever and track them forever. But I want to use that as a way to teach myself to have a better understanding of what I'm putting in my body. And then when it comes to exercising, I want to be a generally fit person. I have no interest in being like hyper fit, toned, cut here, there, like
bikini contest or whatever. Those things are insane anyways. It's like, oh, let's just starve myself for 6 weeks so I can get cut and do that ugly spray tan or whatever, and then just binge like crazy for the next week and gain like 40 pounds. It's not a good lifestyle.
No, I want to be able to. So I don't love running, but doing that 5K felt amazing. So I do want to be the kind of person where, maybe part of a running group, you do like a fun 5K once in a while. Maybe build up to doing a 10 or something.
Do they have zombie races or anything like that here?
They do. They've got zombie races. There's like paint runs.
So we should do that.
Yeah, we should look into.
You're leaving when you come back, or I'll go to Ottawa.
I'll still be in town a lot.
Yeah, you're going to come back. Yeah. And if I ever go back to Ontario, then we'll make sure that to connect and do one of these races.
Absolutely.
Because I'm not a big fan of running, but like a 5K, I can run a 5K. And if it's like zombies or whatever, that's cool. Who doesn't want to run away from zombies?
Yeah. Like I want to do fun 5Ks like that. I want to be I want to be fit enough that I, focus a little bit on training, but mostly, it's easy enough to do. Maybe train to do a 10K here and there. I have no interest in doing a marathon or a half marathon ever. I don't want to run that much.
Don't tell that to Andrea. She loves running.
But I do love swimming. And when I started swimming again, I remembered how much I love it. And what I really would like to do is be a part of triathlon teams. So one person does the swim, one person does the cycling part, and one person does the running.
I didn't know they do that in teams.
Yeah, there's places where you can do it in teams, and I want to be the swimmer on teams for that. So I'd like to always be close to a pool, so that can be my major workout, because I do really like it the most. And then
you got to do what you love. I mean, if you love it, and that you're going to want to continue doing it, right?
Yeah, I also want to go to just have a gym that has a couple of good like aerobics classes that you can go to here and there. So I don't want to obsess about exercise, and I am obsessing about it a bit right now, but I'm not too worried about it because I am trying to get into this new lifestyle.
But it sounds like it's you're wanting to incorporate it into your life because number one, that you enjoy it and you know that it's healthy, and it also provides benefits to you from it sounds right? Like it's stress relief. It's something that I can do to unwind and feel good after.
Absolutely. I feel amazing after I work out each time. On Sunday, I went and did swims twice. I went in the morning and at night because I'm like, I just want to do it again.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm definitely, and that's what I mean when I have an addictive personality. I know I'm getting addicted to exercise, but I'm not worried about it right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never heard of anybody having a problem of having too much exercise and having it as a bad thing. It's like, you know what? You go see your doctor. It's like, you're exercising too much. I think you need to stop that and sit on the couch and watch more TV and eat potato chips. I'm going to prescribe that. I mean, unless you're like getting injured and you're actually hurting yourself, or like you're running and by a crazy knee pain or whatever. It's like, okay, well, stop. Just take a break. But other than that, I mean,
especially when we work full time, like I don't have time to exercise enough for it to be a problem.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If you can fit in like 8 hours a day of exercise while working 8 hours a day at work, let me know, because I'd love to know how you do that.
Yeah.
That would be impressive.
That's how you'd give up sleep, and then you wouldn't have to do that anymore.
Exactly. Yeah, we were talking earlier about how much we love sleep, but yet I love sleeping, but I hate it at the same time because there's so much work that I want to get done, but I just don't want to sleep away. I just wish I could just not sleep and just keep on doing stuff that I like to do.
And I love sleep. Love sleep.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's so like, especially if you're into like any weightlifting or any kind of like, it just helps your body recover. So if you do a heavy lifting or whatever, like you said, doing some heavy swimming, you just get to bed and let your body like rebuild those muscles or whatever it does. And then you're ready to go the next day.
Yeah.
If you don't sleep, you can't recover.
I have crazy vivid nightmares, but also predominantly dreams. And so I do a lot of creative writing and I get a lot of ideas from my crazy dreams. So
like you write down your dreams right after you have them?
I write down some of the ideas from my dreams that I
Okay.
think were really interesting. But yeah, like it's inspired a
can't-
lot of things that I write. So sometimes when I feel like I'm falling asleep, I'm like, what movie is it tonight? So,
Oh, yeah. What's happening? Interesting. So do you believe that there's anything to your dreams that you have, or do you just think that they're just dreams? Like, do you think there's any meaning in the dreams that you have?
I'm not sure if, I think that's a really interesting question, which is a cop-out thing to say right now as I'm trying to think. I don't really know if the dream itself is meaningful, but I do notice that if I fall asleep and I'm very anxious about something or there's a big problem on the horizon, I feel more prepared to deal with it in the morning after a good night's sleep. And not necessarily that I've made up my mind about it, but sometimes I have. And so I wonder if with all these crazy, vivid things happening in the dream, if it's my subconscious working through some of those things. But yeah, I don't know.
I don't know either.
So maybe, but I'm not sold on it just yet.
Yeah. Need more evidence, more scientific research. That's interesting. So getting back to, I guess, what you're doing in terms of losing weight. So your goals are tracking your calories and watching what you eat and then exercising. But what are your actual goals? Like, where do you want to get to? Like, do you set yourself weekly goals, monthly goals, and your overall goal? Like, I'm just curious about how you're tackling that.
Sure. I want to be under 200 by the end of the calendar year.
Okay.
And then I want...
It's certainly doable.
Yes. I try to set very realistic goals because I can be very competitive even with myself.
With yourself. Oh, no, I know.
Yeah.
I think we're pretty similar in how we approach things.
Just a tad. And I know that if I can be too intense about things, and if I let myself be too intense, I will only eat like cucumber for weeks and work out like crazy.
But that's bad.
It's bad. And then I don't want to do it, but I know that it's the solution to make it all go faster. But again,
it's not sustainable though.
Exactly. But if I focus too much on short-term unreasonable goals, that'll be a problem. So that's why I can't do weekly, monthly, none of that. It's looking out to December. And then I do want to get, so when I looked at the BMI scale, the maximum weight that I should be for my height is around 145. And I don't really want to be smaller than that. So that I do have, I think it's 145 is my major goal. And I want to hit that a year from now.
Yeah. That's funny. That's exactly what my goal is. 145. Did you know that?
No, I didn't actually.
Yeah. To be down at 145. This thing's weird. There we go. Yeah. So 145 by the end of next year. Sorry.
I'm hoping for by next summer or the end of next summer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's not too bad of a goal. I mean, considering where you are right now, that's I guess under 100 pounds for sure to lose, right? It's about that. Or,
total weight loss from when I saw that 240 and was quite upset with myself was total 95 pound loss.
Yeah. And that's definitely doable. And I'm sure you're going to get there because from everything that you're saying now, it sounds like you're totally motivated, totally committed to getting there, and that you want to do it, and that you're giving yourself the necessary, like you're putting the right tools in your toolbox to give yourself the best chance of getting there, which is awesome to hear. So that is fantastic. Is there anything that you want to say about this whole journey that you would say, because obviously you're just starting, but is there any kind of advice that you'd give to somebody that's kind of on the fence about starting and saying like, oh, they're just not quite there mentally? Like, how do you think they can get themselves to that point where they're ready to make a change?
I think just try. And because like I said, I had a lot of false starts, but I found my taste profile has changed. And it wasn't just from this most recent bout, like it was from others. So I love broccoli, right? I did not love broccoli this much a year ago. I don't crave chips anymore because in previous iterations, I did manage to eliminate how often I was buying them, having them around, this and this. There's small wins that come from each try. So even if you don't get to where you're going or get on the track right away, just trying will make a difference. And once you fail, just accept it and then try again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Do you have anybody anybody that you talk to for support? Like, because you're saying you've had false starts before. And I think we've all been there where we're trying to lose weight and maybe you lose 10 pounds, but then something happens and then you put it back on, cycle continues. Mm-hmm. But do you have anybody that you reach out to that you're like, things aren't going really well. I want to get back on the horse, but I can't. Is there anything like that you have? Or do you think that would be beneficial for people to have that kind of support?
I think it can be beneficial. Like, frankly, the person I talked to is you.
No.
But so the things that I found really that helped me was actually YouTube, which I find quite funny. But so I do a combination of positive and negative reinforcement. So I started watching Alan Roberts from Every Damn Day Fitness, and I love him. Yeah.
If you haven't seen this guy, just YouTube every Damn Day Fitness, and he'll come up pretty quickly.
Yeah. I love his opening song. But he's very intense, but I think I found him at the perfect time for me, right? Because I was just starting to accept the fact that I was fat, right? Because for a long time I refused to accept that. I just pretended it wasn't happening.
Yeah.
And
did you ever have people that would say, no, that you're not overweight, you're fine, don't worry about it, it's all good? And that's not a good thing.
No, it's not. So the only people who ever said anything to point that I was fat, one was my grandmother, and it was a while ago. She told me that I was starting to pudge up, and she was like pointing at my arms, and I was like, rude. And I was upset at the time.
Yeah.
And for the past few Christmases, my dad and stepmother, they have bought me Sport Check gift cards, stuff like that. And they've tried having very kind conversations with me. And I would get very upset after those conversations, not directly at them during.
Because they're giving you this gift card of like, hey, maybe get some exercise equipment kind of thing.
But they're coming from a place of love, right?
Of course.
And before I was really offended and I got really upset about it. But now that I am where I am and I'm focusing on it, I know that they were worried about me and the path that I was on, and they were trying to help, but they didn't know the right way to address it. And frankly, I don't think there was a right way because I wasn't open or receptive to hearing it.
That's a really good point.
Yeah, I wasn't, and I wasn't really interested in hearing it, but those were the only people that said that I should be thinking about it. Otherwise, everyone else was like, oh, no, you're fine. Like, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
No. And now I'm like, you're all lying.
Yeah. And so when you go on YouTube and you listen to Every Damn Day Fitness and this guy's yelling at your face and basically like, is that the negative reinforcement that you're talking about, or is that the positive?
He's the positive, actually. So you have to be in the right mindset to hear Alan's message. But when you listen to what he's actually saying, he is also coming from a place of love, but it's tough love. And obviously he doesn't know you, right? But the way that he's portraying the information, it's about health concerns and how dangerous the fat acceptance movement is, for example. And from him, I also watch a few others. Like there's Michelle McDaniel, Swole Enormous, and Obese to Beast. Those are the main ones that I listen to.
Yeah.
But I started watching Alan first, and Alan's still my favorite. Sorry to all the others. But he's just very factual. And when he was explaining how much obesity is growing, predominantly in the States is his main focus.
This is like 35% or something, like 35%.
It's alarming.
Population.
It's completely
it's not just
alarming.
A few. We're talking about obese and above.
Yeah, we're talking like he posted on Instagram recently. He was showing the increase in percentage from 1990 to 2018. And there is no state in the country where the obesity rate is under 10%.
Wow. And this is not even 30 years.
Not even 30 years.
1990. That's not even a generation.
No. And when I saw that, my jaw dropped. And there's been other things like that too, where I knew they were calling it the obesity epidemic. But when you see that and you know what's happened to you, you're a part of it. You're like, oh my God, because on the BMI, I am obese. I don't feel I look obese, and But that was my problem.
So
for
was
the
I. It
longest
was the
time.
same thing.
Yeah, I remember
Yep.
when we started talking about it, and we both realized that we are, in medical terms, obese.
Yep.
But I never felt like I looked like I was obese. Like I classified obese in my mind to people who are 600 pounds, right?
Yeah.
But that's not obese. And once you realize what obesity actually is, you're like, oh my God, like that's so many people that I know.
Yep.
And so once I started hearing that, I was like, oh my God, like what have I done to myself? And so the more I listened to Alan, actually, so in the beginning, when I was struggling to go to the gym and work out, I was like, oh, I don't really want to. I listened to a couple of his videos. I'm like, okay, I'm going.
Gotta go.
So that was really effective. But then there were some times where, because I've watched all of his videos at this point, right? So I know what he says in all of them. He needs to make more content.
Yeah. But listen, for content creators, it's tough, okay? It's a hard job.
I know, I'm just being demanding.
Yeah.
But no, so my negative reinforcement, some people think that this is cruel, but it works for me. And I am not trying to insult anybody in particular, but there's two things that I do. One is I look at pictures of visceral fat around organs, like pictures on the inside of what the inside of someone's body looks like when they're obese, and that makes me want to die. So then I have.
So can you describe maybe a little bit what the difference
it's
is?
just the fat is surrounding like the entire organ. Like they were showing one where the fat, it just looked like it was
Like your liver, for example.
It doesn't even look like an organ. It's just covered in fat, and it actually makes you think of some things that you see in the grocery store, and that just.
Oh, really? So
Yeah.
I guess it would be almost like what a lung looks like when it's healthy versus when you're smoking.
Yeah.
Like is it almost like that much of an impact?
Yeah, it's jarring when you see it. And for me, like the whole, because I like to cook with a lot of things. So pancetta, for example, has like a nice big, like thick layer of fat on it. And so does like pork belly. But then when you see something kind of similar looking at something in the human body, you're like, oh my God, like that's freaking me out too much. I can't think about it. But also when you think about what that's doing to you. So that gets me to go. But the other thing that I do is there's a lot of videos on the internet of a compilation of a lot of really obese people. And so I look at some of those and I realize that if I don't change, that is what I'm going to be. Because I'm not going to suddenly start eating less. I'm going to continue to eat more, right?
Yeah.
Because if I think about over time, like I haven't put on 100 pounds in a year, but I think the rate that I was putting on weight was something like between 10 to 15 pounds a year, if not more. And that wasn't stopping, right? That was just going to
keep
go up.
going up.
Yeah. And so do I want to be in my 40s and be however many hundreds of pounds I'd be at that point? Absolutely not.
Yeah. You're at 250, 300.
Well,
you know,
I didn't think I was ever going to hit 2. I didn't think I was going to hit 240. That's for sure. That was jarring. And it happened very easily.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing how quickly it can happen. So there's a whole lot of things that we can talk about from the things that you just said. So I like that, how you're using, I guess, what do you call it? Like negative reinforcement?
Positive and negative.
Positive and negative. Yeah. So, you're looking at things of like, and I think that depends. That's a specific mindset. Like, I don't think we'd recommend that to everybody, because people would see those images that like break down and be like, I can't deal with this. Like, this is not like negative reinforcement, I guess just doesn't work for them.
Right.
But I totally see that. You see that. It's like, do you want to be that person on the wall?
Absolutely
No? Well, then you get your ass to work, whatever. I don't know if you've seen, I have that one up there.
Yeah, I was noticing that earlier.
Yeah, that's more of a positive reinforcement of like, this is what I want my life to be like, and this is what's important to me, and kind of use that to visualize. I just figured like having like just a bunch of bad things on there just wouldn't be as impactful for me. But again, I do the same thing of seeing all those people and be like, I don't want to be like that. I can't be like that. This is not what I want for my life. Got to do something.
And because the climate is so political right now.
So that's
a whole other
let me ask
situation.
you this question. So there's a lot of people out there. Like what's that? Tess, what's her name?
Holiday.
Tess Holiday. So you have this fat acceptance movement. Is that what it's called? I try to stay away from that, but that's what it is.
So, or body positive, I think is
body positive.
Interchangeable.
Now, I'd love to get your thoughts on that. Like, what do you think? What do you think about all that and what is being said these days? And do you think it's, well, let me just leave it at that. Then I'll follow up.
So I can get very ranty about some of this, but what I will say first is that
it's a perfect place to do that.
I don't think anyone should ever hate their body. I think...
Or themselves.
No, exactly. I don't think you should ever hate yourself. And I don't think anyone should ever make fun of you for what you look like. That's just... It's
100%
not,
agree.
Yeah, it's not kind, but people are going to do it because some people are
assholes. Are just assholes.
Yeah, they just are. I don't advocate their behavior when they do that. I think it's rude and mean and unnecessary, and I don't think anyone should hate themselves. And I especially think people, who are burn victims, who were born with a limb, like all these sort of things that you can have, you should be positive about your body. If you are 600 pounds, you need to lose weight or you're going to die. And I would be labeled as fat phobic for having said that, right? If you weigh 300 pounds or more, you also need to lose weight.
That's what the fat acceptance and body positivity says.
That's what I see almost all of the time. It's almost become less about supporting these women who are large as it is like advocating weight gain and advocating being fat. And being fat is not a good thing. It's not a good thing. I don't think you should hate yourself. I don't think anyone should make fun of you for it. And yeah, you have a right to be fat. Sure, be fat if you want to. But the whole obesity epidemic and fat people themselves, they're putting a huge strain on our medical system.
Yeah.
And it's causing society harm.
So don't make claims that it's healthy.
Don't make claims that it's healthy.
If you want to do it, go ahead. But come on. You're not convincing anybody that this is healthy.
I don't want to say go ahead. I'm against it entirely. You should not be fat. To be super blunt, you need to lose weight.
No, it's unhealthy.
Yeah,
that's
it's unhealthy.
Not the natural human state.
Yeah,
period.
Don't weigh that much. You need to lose weight. And it's not because I don't think you're pretty. I think Tess Holliday is beautiful. Like she's a gorgeous face. But she is incredibly overweight. She needs to lose weight. Yeah. She's not healthy.
Yeah, if you find her attractive, you think she's the sexiest person you've ever seen, that's great. Everyone has their own opinions. These are a matter of opinions. But when we're talking about facts and we're talking about the science, weighing, I don't even know how much she weighs, but whatever she weighs,
I don't know what she weighs,
it's not healthy.
No, it's not healthy.
The way she's walking and everything, it's like she looks like she's in pain.
Yeah.
Like all the time.
And even like I've when my gut is large, because it's still obviously I've only lost 8 pounds. It's not like massively smaller than it was before. But I can like struggle at sometimes to like lean over and tie up my shoes because my stomach is getting in the way, and I hate that feeling. And you're not actually supposed to have that feeling.
Yeah,
it's not good for you. And a lot of these people will claim that, well, I'm metabolically healthy. There's nothing wrong with me right now. Like there's all this and this and this. Yeah, fine, sure. But that doesn't mean that it's good. It's not good for you to be that size. And I know a lot of people are that size, but that is an issue. It's not something that is okay. It should not be promoted.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be promoted.
Yeah.
I don't believe you should promote anorexia either. But don't.
It's like an eating disorder on the other side. It's not healthy.
Yeah. But if you weigh 300 pounds, you're not healthy. You're not.
Yeah. Just period. Hard
You're
stop.
just not. And I stand fully behind saying that.
And so do you think it's causing a problem in today's society? I mean, is that one of the reasons why maybe obesity is on the rise and it's not getting any better? That people are just saying, okay, you know what? It's happening to everybody. So let's just pretend that it's okay or that it's normal or it's natural.
I think that it's happening to enough people, which is why this movement's getting quite a bit of an upswing. But I actually think it's connected to something larger. So I've kind of had this philosophy for a while. But I think a lot of people in the first world, or at least the loudest people on social media, they're looking for problems, right?
Yeah.
And I have this conversation with some of my friends, some of my very opinionated friends sometimes, about our lives are really good. Like we have really excellent lives.
This time in human history, it's like every day. It's like the time of living in human history has been the best. Like every day it gets better.
Exactly.
Like,
I have people that try to convince me that it's the worst. I'm like, I don't think you know how ignorant
do you
that is
want
to
to
say.
go live even 80 years ago when people are fighting wars and you're being drafted, or when there's measles and
Exactly.
outbreaks, Black Plague, people dying before penicillin was invented?
Yeah.
Come on.
No, but our lives are really good. We have everything that we need. Like,
An abundance of what we need.
well,
Clearly.
there's obviously some people that still don't. There's homeless people and addicts and people who
Sure,
need to be
we
helped.
still have problems, of course. Yeah.
But in general, our society has it really, really good. And I think that's actually caused a psychological problem for a lot of people. Because if you're not able, so I'm very work oriented, as you know, like I'm very obsessed with my career. I take it very seriously and I love it. And I spend a lot of time focusing on it because I get a lot of fulfillment from it.
Yeah.
And it's because there's these big issues that I have to focus at work. When you solve one of these problems or you work towards it, it feels amazing. But if you're not in that, but I was trying to get this kind of job like from second year university once I focused and went to class.
Yeah.
And so since I was focused on it the whole time I was in undergrad, I got a job right after school and I continued to just work up the whole time. And not a lot of people are like that. And so not a lot of people are as career driven as that. And there's a lot of people who go and travel and do this and this, and you should do what you want with your life.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people are lacking purpose. And so I think that's caused a larger psychological effect on everyone else, that if you don't have kind of a grander purpose, if there's not something big that you're working towards, you can feel like there's a pretty big hole in your life. And I think
Searching for reason, for purpose.
yeah. I think a lot of people in the first world are. I think it is the definition of a first world problem.
Interesting. So then people without a cause or without something to latch onto just try to manufacture something that they believe is important.
I think that's where a lot of this is coming from. I do believe there are some actual issues that need to be addressed, but I do think some of them are utterly ridiculous.
It is fascinating, isn't it? Where some things that are issues, you're like, why is the public seeming that this is a big issue when, I don't know, whatever, oil spills are happening all the time, or ozone's gone, or whatever, right? It seems like there's much bigger problems to actually worry about.
Well, you and I were talking about Star Wars earlier and Luke
Yeah.
Skywalker and how much I love Luke Skywalker still,
Yeah.
except for not in the last movie, but I won't go down that thread right now.
Yeah.
But we love him because he starts off as the everyday person and he's the ultimate hero, right?
Yeah.
And I think we all want to be the hero of our own stories, of our own lives. But you can't be a hero if there's nothing for you to actually battle against.
Yeah.
And so I think people are trying to find these battles who might not otherwise have any battles. And that's why I think a lot of things are really fraught right now. It's not the only reason why, but I do believe that's where psychologically a lot of it's coming from.
And I guess it's also easy to catch on to something that seems to be getting a lot of attention.
Exactly.
Because that could be another thing too. Do you find that could be something? Whereas nowadays it's social media and it's like, it's all about getting the views and the likes and the clicks. Is that something that maybe is fueling it too? It's like, oh, well, if I just hop on this bandwagon, then I'm going to start getting popular and fame. Maybe that'll help fulfill some need in my life.
I think so. I think the mob mentality can be very seductive. It terrifies me. I think social media mobs are horrendous, regardless of what side you're coming from. For example, when Sandy Hook happened back ages ago, the first name that was released by the press was the wrong name. I believe this was Sandy Hook, but it wasn't the guy who actually did that.
Okay.
It was somebody else, and he was like, his house was surrounded. People were ready to kill him.
Really?
Right? And he didn't do it. It was the other guy that they ultimately caught. And I just think of how terrifying that is. So for starters, I completely understand wanting to kill somebody who did that, because frankly, I would too, actually. Whether I could actually go through with that is a different story, but I understand the unbelievable fury and rage that comes from that, because it's just so despicable. But getting that name wrong, like that guy could have been killed.
Yeah.
And it just shows you the power of just absolute outrage that can swirl up and move at any moment.
Yeah. But it seems like that's something that's powerful that happened, that was devastating, but yet people seem to be getting the same amount of outrage for something that, like Kevin Hart said when he said,
oh my God,
something he said 10 years
cares?
ago,
Well,
right?
exactly.
And then they want to destroy his career. Like,
Yeah. See, so Sandy Hook, like focused at the right person. I back that outrage, actually. As much as I just said I'm against mobs, that's a different story. Never, ever should children be harmed, ever. But it's, who cares what a comedian said? They are literally paid to be provocative.
yeah.
That's their whole job. Don't
Yeah.
take the bait.
Yeah.
Like, it just makes you look ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it's...
Comedy is supposed to be a reflection of our culture and our society, and to get us to look at things and laugh, and of course, maybe do a little bit of thinking about what's going on. But now, when comedians can't even tell jokes for fear of what might happen to them,
Well,
then
and
what can we do?
And maybe that connects a bit to what you were saying about all the stuff with social media and YouTube, about the likes and this and this. Everyone is so narcissistic now. There's a lot of people who are really narcissistic. I'm sure I am. But because it's always the focus on me,
Yeah.
a lot of people can't be self-aware. Like, we're all humans. We all have flaws.
Of course.
And you need to be able to laugh at your flaws. If you're able to laugh at the things that you do wrong and this, you're going to have a much happier life rather than freaking out about all of these things that happen. And so if you can't laugh at how ridiculous you are or how ridiculous you're coming off when someone points it out, it's because it's true and you can't accept it, which I think is a level of immaturity that's showing in our society as a whole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that is crazy. That is crazy. I'm not exactly sure how to bring this up, but do you feel like everything, just the things that we're talking about now with the media outrage or the mob outrage, do you feel like it's gotten worse very, very quickly? Like, even over the span of the past few years, like, do you feel like it's just really escalating? Because I don't remember hearing about this kind of stuff like 10 years ago.
Yeah, it definitely has gotten worse. And I almost can't remember now if it started with the Trump campaign or not. Not saying that his campaign started it, but that this continuous outrage started when he was campaigning for president. That's when I started paying attention, certainly. Probably people who were paying attention before them might have seen more of it. But I remember, like, just talking about, don't get in Twitter fights. No one wins.
Yeah.
That I forget when that first became like a well-known concept. We're all just like, just don't engage.
Are you on Twitter?
Yeah, I don't get into Twitter fights.
No.
But it's pretty awful. People, I don't know. And the thing is, I'm so tired of the outrage. So
it's draining. Being around all that negativity all the time.
And who enjoys being in this negative headspace all of the time? And that's why I think too, a lot of people are saying, life is so awful now. Like, everything is so much worse. And no, you're just talking about it all of the time.
Yeah.
And you're blowing things out of proportion. Some things are not, but some things really are. Where it's like, this is not as big of a deal as you think it is.
Yeah.
And like, are you getting paid to be this upset? Like, I'm not actually asking that, but that's just what it feels like. Because how can you spend this much time being frustrated about things that have literally no impact on your individual life?
Yeah.
Or your families?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I get, like, going back to wanting to lose weight. I mean, like, why is it so much of an outrage to people when others come out and say, like, you know what, being fat it's unhealthy and you need to lose weight. And we're saying it out of a place of love. And like you were saying, a place of, this is just the science of it. Like, if you want to live a healthier life and you don't want to die from being overweight, that you should just lose weight.
Well,
but you're okay how you are, but it's unhealthy. We're not making fun of you, but you can't even say that.
Well, I even think back to my example I gave earlier, where like my dad and stepmom tried to have like these kind conversations with me, and I know they were coming from a place of love, but even I try to put myself back into my shoes of where I was at that time, and I didn't want to hear it. Right? I didn't want to hear it because I didn't want to admit it, because as soon as you admit it, then you don't have an excuse not to deal with it.
Yeah. And
I think a lot of people, weight loss is not an easy road. It takes a lot of time. And I'm fortunate, right? Because I'm still in my 20s.
Yeah.
And so I have time to get on track, set a new lifestyle that will carry me throughout the rest of my life and keep me healthy.
Yeah.
And also it's easier to switch these things. It's easier to lose weight and everything when you're younger. So I do want to get this new set lifestyle that's better and good for me happening now. But like if you're in your 40s and you're 500 pounds or something, like I'm sure that's a terrifying concept to even begin addressing.
Yeah.
Or anything like that. It's just,
But still do it.
you still need to do it. Yeah.
Absolutely still need to do it. Yeah.
But I don't know, I think people they're not ready to accept it, which is why I think fat acceptance should actually be accepting the truth and getting ready to deal with it and actually dealing with it.
Need to accept. Yeah.
Because like, okay, you can be 400 pounds. I'm not going to stop you, but I'm also not going to claim that you're healthy.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a question I wanted to ask you. For me, like you were talking earlier about stretch marks, and I have stretch marks as well. I have them on the inside of my, what are these things? Legs, but not legs, but
what are these limbs sticking out the bottom of my body?
What are these things?
The bottom of my body.
Yeah, just like the inside. What are these?
Like thighs?
There you go.
There you go.
Thank you. So I have stretch marks on the inside of my thighs, and I have stretch marks kind of on my waistline as well too. And I, again, kind of similar to you, so like within first year of just eating like fries and gravy all the time. And then I ballooned up. My heaviest was 210. I think 210 or just under 210. And one of the first things that I was worried about, and I was worried about this a few times when I tried and failed to lose weight, I was always worried about, okay, well, what happens if I'm going to get loose skin? Like what's going to happen if I end up losing like 80 pounds or something like that? What's going to happen? And I would tell Andrea this. I'm like, I'm worried about this. And she'd just be like, shut the fuck up. You know what? What would you rather be? Would you rather be heavy or would you rather be healthy? And yeah, maybe you'll have some loose skin. And I'm like, yeah, I guess I'd rather be healthy. But it's also some part of your mind too is just like, yeah, but I really don't want to have loose skin either. I want to look a certain way. But of course, at the end of the day, it just trumps. You just got to be healthy. It's like if you have loose skin, you have loose skin, and it's battle scars, I guess, of the times that, you fell off. So is that something that you think about?
I think about that all of the time. So I have stretch marks. I have stretch marks on my thighs as well. I have them on my stomach, and that makes me really upset because it's not just kind of from my hips growing out, because I do, like, because I got stretch marks even when I was fit, right, as I was going through puberty.
Yeah. Just growing so fast. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I've got stretch marks in a few other places, but it's the ones on my stomach that really upset me when I got them. Because they were so red and everywhere. And the only reason why, and usually women don't get them there until they're pregnant, right? And I just got it from gaining weight, and that was really hard to accept. I am terrified of loose skin. I really, 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 really don't want it. It's a huge aesthetic thing. Like I can't fathom the fact that I might have it. So what I do is, I'm not as rational about it as you are. Definitely not. I'm still losing weight because I need to. Yep. But I literally, after I get out of the shower, after each workout, I cover my body in coconut oil just to be like, just soak it in and just like make it stop happening. Yeah. And drink water as much as possible. Yeah.
You have to do an experiment to see this works by just doing half your body.
Exactly.
You see one half is like stretchy, one is like super tight.
No, I really, 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 really don't want it. But I kind of made a deal with myself recently, which was, I work really hard to make a lot of money. And if it does happen to me and I really hate it, I will get surgery.
Yeah. And I think, you have a lot of things going for you. Number one, you're younger, and skin tends to rebound a whole lot easier when you're younger. So that's thing number one. And number two, you're not at a weight that is so high that it's like, okay, clearly you're going to have loose skin after you lose 400 pounds, right? You do not have that. You're not even at 100, right? So, I've heard a lot of people it's kind of like once you get to like 120, 150, that's when you start to possibly get loose skin.
Oh, okay.
But anything lower than that, it's like, I see people like, I lost 60 pounds, 80 pounds, and they're just like very, very tight. Like their skin is tight. So, if you do get any, it'll be so small that like you're not even gonna notice.
Oh, I know.
And then with all your swimming and stuff, and that's the thing too. It's like you're not just losing weight by like, I'm just going to be the one of those guys. No, I'm going to eat for 100 days or whatever, and lose like 150 pounds. Like you're not doing that. You're exercising. So not only are you losing fat, but you're also going to be putting on some muscle at the same time, which is more dense than fat and just builds up your muscle that much more, or builds up your frame that much more, right? Because you're filling up with muscle, especially around your core area.
But it's interesting, right? Because people say that, and all of the things that I've read, they go, oh, well, if you don't want loose skin, then you need to build up your muscle to like fill the space so that it doesn't get tight. I'm like, but I don't want to be big.
But this is a thing. This is what is, I could say, a common misconception, especially for women that want to lift. Like lifting weights is not going to make you big, right? Like if it's going to, it'll tone up your physique and make you look fit and healthy. Like you're not going to get gigantic, like all these women that are like ripped, like they're taking stuff, they're testosterone or whatever, right? Because the female anatomy is just not built to have muscles like men are, and even a lot of men aren't built like that because they're taking shit too, right? Like they're all taking shit. Like you're not going to get, like if you think of people that move like I don't know, Gal Gadot in like Wonder Woman or whatever, right? Like they look fit and toned. Like they're not ripped like that, but they're lifting the weights, right? Because it's toning your body and it's getting everything tightened up, and it's not like. It's like one of those things, like, it's like you're not going to worry about over exercising. You shouldn't worry about having too much muscle. Like it's not,
fair enough,
I don't want to lift weights and be like, oh, I look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. God damn it. How did I get this muscular? This is terrible. Like, no, it's, it's just like
fair enough.
Hitting the weights every now and then. It's not going to make you look away. It's going to make you look really toned and defined, right? Get those, definition in your muscles in your arms and all that kind of stuff. Right. So.
All right, well, I'll take your word for it. No, it's a fair question to ask though, because I really don't want to deal with that.
Yeah,
I really, really, really don't. And it's funny. I think about how many different videos I've watched and how many different articles I try to write to be like, what is the secret to not having it happen? But there isn't, right?
It's not getting fat in the first place.
Yeah, it's not getting fat in the first place, which I'm too late for that. Yeah. But it's age, genetics, how big you actually are, how much weight you have to lose, and how much muscle you choose to build up. Yeah. And that's it. That's the reality. Yeah. And just like I have to accept the fact that I was fat, I have to accept the fact that this might happen. Yeah. But also if it does, I will deal with it. And you're right. Like I'm not losing like 300 pounds where it absolutely is going to hang off of me. Yeah. So
like you're not, have all of this. Sorry, I'm putting down to my legs, like going down to the floor. Like it's not so much that it's, like clearly if you're, your gut is hanging all the way down to your knees, like so you see some people like they're just so fat, like it's like clearly there's nowhere for that to go and it's not going to rebound, and they're also like 50 years old, right? Like,
no, I'm quite fortunate as well because genetically I have no ownership. That's my whole lineage that's made this possible. My weight goes on very evenly. It's very evenly distributed over my entire body. So even though I've lost 8 pounds, I can't see it anywhere.
It's just like half a pound every like half a centimeter or something. Yeah.
But it's good in the long run, right? Because I do think that'll make it less likely that the loose skin will happen as well. But it's not until I lose quite a bit more weight that I'm going to start to see a difference. And it's not like there's one spot, and I know you can't spot reduce anyway, that I'm going to notice it for a while.
You can't say, I'm only going to lose fat here.
Exactly.
Doesn't work that way.
I am actually tracking the measurements of my arm, my waist, specifically around like the largest part of my stomach, and my thigh to see how many inches I'm going to lose as well. Because
the more spots you measure, the more inches you lose.
Exactly.
I've lost 350 inches at 25 points around my body. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's that'll help me see that there is incremental differences as well, even when I don't see them anywhere else.
Yeah. Yeah. And of course, tracking, you just know too from your clothes. If your clothes fit loose.
Well, I do feel like they're fitting better now, which would make sense since there is some weight that's come off. But
well, 8 pounds is not an insignificant amount.
No, it's not.
But like every day, like for me, I notice like my belt. It's like every couple of weeks, whatever. Oh, I got to go to the next belt level or whatever. So it's good. It's those little things that I think they help keep you motivated and help keep you going.
It makes a difference for sure.
Yeah. So you're not using a scale right now.
I am using a scale.
You are using a scale?
Yeah, I track that pretty closely too.
How often?
So LifeSum actually wants me to put it in each day, which I know people don't recommend, but I do it anyway. And it was kind of funny because I've been 232 for, obviously, a couple days now. I'm like, oh, it's not going down. I'm like, yeah, because you're not going to lose a pound a day, Alexa.
Yeah.
No, get it together.
Yeah.
But
Well,
so
if
then,
you hop in a sauna, you will. You lose like 2-3 pounds.
but then what I remind myself is I'm like, yeah, but it's not going up. And
yeah, and I think you have to, especially if you're measuring every single day, you have to have that mental fortitude that like, if it does go up,
Can't freak out either.
Don't freak out. Don't be like, oh.
But it didn't even go up after I binged. So I binged that day and then I exercised a lot. And the next morning when I woke up, I weighed myself and my weight didn't change. I was like, okay, well, that's very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Because like, I mean, like you said, it was 5,000 calories, right? It's not that much.
Yeah. It's not,
I mean,
it's a lot, but it's not in what some people's binges can be.
Yeah,
it's not the end all be all.
20,000 calorie days.
Yeah. I think I would die if I
have.
tried to do that. Yeah.
Some people can just wolf that stuff down. I don't know how.
I find, well, when I binge, right, I don't even recognize how my stomach feels or anything. It's like I'm kind of removed from my body and I just like food is just going in.
Do you feel when you're doing that you're eating even when you like know that you're full?
Yes.
It's like, oh my God, I'm full, but why am I
feel
still
like
eating?
I'm slightly divorced from my body when I'm doing it, to be honest. It's still, I felt hungover on Saturday. That's my excuse today. But
you were hungover.
I was still an excuse though. You don't need to do this. Yeah, I don't know. I thought, I don't know. I didn't even think, I don't know why I did it. It just happened. Like I don't have a logical reason for why I did it. And I didn't stop myself from doing it either. Like I didn't look for any of my various reinforcements.
How long like did this whole binge go? Was like the whole day?
No, it was lunch and dinner.
Just like lunch and dinner?
Yeah.
And you're by yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Order takeout. That's always does it.
Yeah. You got to take your bank cards away, your credit cards or whatever.
I know, but they're all linked up to like skip the dishes and everything. So I know I need to take them off my phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say like I've never done that before, but just delete that shit.
Drunk me is so bad at it too. And that's why.
Sorry, what's this?
So drunk Alexa.
Drunk me. Sorry. I thought this was like the name of some fancy restaurant. I'm like, what is this place? It sounds delicious.
Haven't heard of that one.
I haven't heard of that one.
No, when I'm drunk, I'm like, I need to eat like 25 mozza sticks right now, and I will order them.
You're saying all the things that mozzarella sticks.
Oh, I love that.
That's bad. It's like one mozzarella stick is like, I think it's about 20,000 calories per one stick. Like they're insane.
There's a crazy amount of calories in each one of them, and you just need to not eat them.
Well, they're deep fried cheese.
I know, they're so good.
Yeah. Anyways, we shouldn't be starting to drool when we're talking about this. So anyways, we do have a plate of vegetables here, which we haven't touched, but I guess it wouldn't be so good if we start chewing on celery.
The crunching would be very
I don't think anyone's going to like that sound. But it's very interesting because, like, I mean, obviously I was going on days where I'd be binging. Like they'd last like, usually it'd be like the whole weekend, like drink on Friday and then have leftover food for breakfast and then carry over lunch. Sometimes then I'd be like, I feel really bad. What'll make me feel better? Well, let's just have some more drinks. And then it's like, it just doesn't stop or didn't stop. It was like, and the same thing as you, it's like, I don't feel hungry. I'm not hungry, but I can't stop eating.
Yeah, no, see, this was a restrained binge. In the past, it has been a lot worse, particularly when a lot of alcohol is involved, because so I used to work for this craft brewery at the farmer's market. So this is before I got my promotion at my main job. So I was working full time, and I also had 4 part-time jobs at the same time. So I was trying to pay down debt and live in. Oh yeah, no, it was crazy.
Yeah, I feel like I'll have to have you back again to talk about your 4 jobs at the same time. 4 part-time jobs mixed in with full-time.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I did nothing but work. Sometimes I'd work till like 3 a.m. and just like constantly.
That's crazy.
And the craziest part too is the amount of money I made. Just like,
It's probably like
it's nowhere near what I make right now.
it's like 4 minimum wage jobs. It's still minimum wage.
Well, and then with the full-time job, right? But that's when I was at very entry level, and yeah. But anyway, so I worked at the craft brewery, and the issue was that we would have we would open growlers for people to sample, and then they would buy various growlers from the fridge. But at the end of the day, I got to keep the sample bottles, and then I could buy growlers at a discounted price, and I didn't have to pay for the bottle as a staff person. So I could get like a liter of fantastic craft beer for $4.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's like 2.5 beers or something like that.
It's 2.5 full pints. Yeah. Well, not the half, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's 2.5 pints. And so during the day, right, I didn't drive home. So I just get, you just like to have some samples. And then I was between a sausage stand and a pretzel stand. It was great. So I would just eat and like get a little tipsy, and it was great. And so then I would go home, have a nap, and then like take some of the beer to somebody's house and we would drink there. Or if I didn't feel like going out, I would just like have a couple beers and chill out at my place. But sometimes I just started drinking more than that. And I don't drink beer at all anymore, actually. I'm solely on wine and martinis. That's it.
Only fancy drinks for me, please.
Ones. But no, I don't drink beer anymore. After I got sick, my body can't really handle it anymore.
Yeah.
But I definitely gained a lot of weight from that time because I had access to a lot of cheap free. Like I would have tons of these growlers in my fridge at any time, so I didn't have to walk out to get
Just
it.
grab it.
Just grab it, pour it, and then by the time you're done one growler, you're like, oh, whatever. Like, I'll just pop open another one to finish off this pint because it was only like 2.5.
Yeah.
And that packed weight on for sure.
Yeah.
That was.
I mean, all alcohol is pretty high in calories, but beer's
the
especially
most,
too.
I think, though. Yeah.
Unless you're having like something like Ryan Coke, and then you have the pop and the sugars and everything. That's probably
I hate
worse.
pop. That's never been an issue for me with all this weight stuff. I don't like pop at all.
That's good.
Yeah.
So I was having pop all the time.
Well, I don't have a sweet tooth, right? Like
Neither do I, but I like pop
I love salt. Salt is my big, I love cheese.
and salt.
Yeah, salt. I know. Cheese, it's milk and salt. But no, I haven't had a sweet tooth, so that wasn't. Never had to really worry about dessert or anything like that, or pop, because it wasn't going to be a problem. It was chips, pasta, cheese, wine.
Yeah, it's just that starchy, carbohydrate-y stuff.
Oh, I know, it's so delicious.
It is. It is.
But that's why now, when I'm making it, I know that if I eliminate pasta completely, it's not going to work. And I'm going to fail. But if I'm going to make a pasta, I weigh out the appropriate serving size because I never did that before. And I measure everything that I'm going to put into it. Yep. And then in LifeSum, I love this app. I record every single thing going into it, and it'll tell me the full calorie count. So I know how much I'm eating. And then as I'm cooking, I'll drink a lot of water. And I'll eat slowly because I used to just wolf back food, right? Because I was super hungry. But I'll eat very purposefully. And when I'm done, I still don't feel full, but I just ignore that. And I drink more water. And then I go actually lie down, read a book for a little bit or something like on my stomach to try to like almost close it, if that makes sense. And I'll drink more water. And then usually some time will have gone by and I'm just like not hungry. Not full, but I'm not hungry. Yeah. And so that's...
Sorry, are you worried that your feelings of hunger could be more of an emotional hunger as opposed to like an actual real hunger?
They're emotional for sure.
And trying to figure out and learn what the difference is between the two.
Yeah. So that's why I try to drink a lot of water, because a lot of the time I'm thirsty or dehydrated or something.
Especially if you're swimming lots of laps.
Yeah, I take a water bottle down with me for sure. But when I come back up, I down a lot of water because you can't feel yourself sweating, right? So you have no idea what's poured out of your body while you've been swimming.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So this is fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on, because this is really great. Yeah. I think a lot of people are going to find a lot of helpful tips to incorporate into their journey, which is fantastic. And we need to do this again.
That'd be great.
In like 6 months or 9 months or whenever your goal is, to see where you're at. And then we'll just get together and just talk about what's going on. Because now you're just kind of at the start. And then maybe, who knows when we meet next, it'll be like, oh, well, remember when I said this? Well, that was kind of bullshit. Now I'm going to try this, or this worked, or this didn't, because things always change and evolve, right?
I'm going to be back in December. So I was thinking we should see if I actually get under 200 by that point, because that's my first major decision point check.
Do you know when in December?
First week of December.
First week. Is that enough time, or is it more? Are you thinking more the end of the week or beginning of the week? Or sorry, of the month, I should say, like your goal, right?
Well, we can see how close to 200 I am, or if I snuck under.
All right. Yeah. Well, we'll meet anyways and just sneak under. Oh. You can take that lots of different ways, I guess. Yeah, we'll definitely do that. So once again, thank you so much for joining. This was fantastic, and this is great. I had a whole lot of fun just talking to you and getting to know your journey, and it's really fantastic to hear and to talk to you today.
Thanks. This was really fun. It's very weird having a microphone this close to my face for this long, but
yeah, well, you gotta get used to it. You gotta get used to the fame. That's just what happens. All right. Thanks again. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
All right. And thank you everyone for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode.